Tony Hawk's American Wasteland is the 7th game in the Tony Hawk series. They've gone through, 4 incarnations of Pro Skater, and then 2 more of Underground, and now they're at American Wasteland. The reason for the name change is that the game has a much more involved and compelling story component to it. Unfortunately, the game's gameplay, and new to the Xbox 360 version, the game's graphics, don't really stand up to the story mode, and at the end of the day, it's not a particularly compelling package. The game's biggest strength is probably its story mode, even though the gameplay in this mode is actually really, really easy. The game puts you in the role of a runaway. You're getting away from the Midwest, trying to get away from your bitchy father and the cops and all that stuff. So you run off to Los Angeles, where you're promptly, jacked. They steal your stuff, and you're left kind of on your own. You hook up with this local skater chick named Mindy. She offers to kind of show you the ropes, show you around the area, and the game kind of sets forth in motion from there. The gameplay pretty much follows the classic Tony Hawk blueprint. You're given goals, and you have to accomplish those goals in a certain amount of time. The deal with American Wasteland, though, is that every one of these goals, they really line you up directly with what you want to, what you need to use for your goal. So if it's, trick off this object, then the goal drops you directly in front of that object, so you just kind of do the trick and it stops. It's really disjointed, kind of jumps around all crazy like that, and isn't particularly interesting because it's so easy. On top of that, the Xbox 360 version adds in a whole new problem. The game's graphics are really pretty mediocre. Basically what they've done is, every Xbox 360 game has to go up to 1080i or 720p, so when you run in these HD resolutions, you're getting a much larger, kind of crisper picture. But at the same time, things like the character models and the textures don't look like they've been worked on much over the Xbox and PlayStation 2 versions that came out last month. So the result is you're getting a really clean view of really dirty looking graphics, and it just kind of serves to make the whole game just look kind of bad. In addition to the story mode, the game also has a classic mode, and here you can go through some of the game's older levels. Unfortunately, the Tony Hawk series has been kind of reusing older levels for a few years now, so there aren't too many actual classic levels left to remake. So the levels found here, not all that great. The game also has Xbox Live support for up to 8 players, and with this you can get into a variety of different modes. Trick attack, where you're just trying to get the highest score in a certain amount of time. There's a score challenge where you want to be the first person to reach a specific score, and so on. There are a variety of different modes that are all basically kind of centered around scoring well and busting out big combos. A real big problem with American Wasteland, and this is something that's been across all of its platforms, it's a very short and very easy game. If you've been sticking with the series for any length of time, you'll blast right through it. But if you're a new player to the series, the way the game kind of lines you up with stuff, you'll probably blast through it pretty quickly there too. So it's already kind of a tenuous value when you kind of chalk up the fact that this game costs $10 more on the Xbox 360 than it does on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and the game's graphical problems. It's not a particularly good value. While it's easy to want to compare Tony Hawk's American Wasteland to the other versions of the game that have already come out, when you take it up against the other games that are out for the Xbox 360 and kind of look at them, game A, game B, Xbox 360 games, generally speaking, look much better than Tony Hawk's American Wasteland does. It's kind of a dirty port, and it's definitely not a game that you'd want to get if you're looking for something that really kind of pushes your system to the limits and kind of makes a good showcase for what the Xbox 360 is all about.